Hey, hello guys, welcome to Network Beats. This is Tangadurai, and in last video we have learned about some basic introduction about the BGP, like what is BGP and how it is differentiated from the IGP protocols like OSPF, EIGRP, and ISIS. Where we can use the BGP and where to use and where not to use, like this kind of things that we have looked into it. Now we are going to learn about BGP messages and BGP neighbor state in this video. Uh, let's see actually what are these and why we need to learn about these things. Okay. So, BGP messages and neighbor states. Basically, BGP message is nothing but when a router 1 is trying to establish a neighborship with the router 2, right? It has to undergo different process. Okay, in order to exchange few parameters or few things so that R1 can establish a neighborship with R2, right? So that R1 and R has to agree upon something, and it should be okay for both R1 and R2, so that finally they the neighborship. So in that case, like what they are going to exchange, okay? So whatever the data they are going to exchange, we will be offering us BGP messages. Okay, so there are four messages. One is open, and next is update, and then notification, and finally keep alive. So the open message, it will be used when the neighborship is trying to establish for the first time, okay, to build the BGP adjacency. And the next update message, it will be used when there is a new prefix has to be advertised to the peer. Okay, it will be using the update message to advertise the prefix, or if there is a prefix got updated from one of its neighbor and this prefix has to be advertised to its neighbor, then it will be using the update message to received prefixes to its neighbor, right? Or let's say there were the route previously advertised, but due to so and so reason it is not available at this stage, so that has to be withdrawn from the routing. So if it is a case, then again that particular message will be updated to the peers, the neighbor routers using the message called update. Okay, either to advertise a prefix or to update the prefix which already we got it from one of our neighbor, or we have to withdraw the route from our routing table, then all these updates can be categorized into a update message. And then we have something called notification. Notification is nothing like what we get in WhatsApp or Facebook, right? So here, in about the BGP, whenever we see the notification message, that is something bad is happening with our neighborship. Okay, let's say that something got mismatched, something is good for our peer. If our peer is trying to um, uh, like uh, tear our neighborship, okay, then we will be receiving that message via notification message, right? Or in case of any error has been detected by the peer, then we will be receiving those messages or the updates as a notification message, right? So the final thing is keep alive. Okay, so when a router 1 and router is trying to form the neighborship, and when everything is set all for their neighborship, and once a neighborship has been established, then what they to do is like they're just going to exchange something. The message is called keep alive, right? So something kind of hello timer. The like why it is in the sense, every time router 1 and router 2, they don't want to go through the process from the scratch to form a neighborship. Okay, once they in the beginning, once they have done with the process, after that they don't want to authorize or authenticate themselves again. Okay, only they have to ensure that router 1 has to ensure router 2 that he is still and he's operational. Okay, and similarly router 2 has to inform router 1 router 2 is still up and he is operational, so that whatever the data or the prefix he was advertised it is still valid. Why? Because router 2 is still active and he is operational. If there is something wrong, then router 2 will be going to inform router 1 based on the update what he receive or he want to alert. Okay, so that is why the keep alive message here. Okay, this is about the BGP messages. Then we will be looking into neighbor states. Okay, so these are the messages that these are the messages that BGP use in the process of forming a neighborship relationship between the two routers, right? Okay, so this is different from the neighbor states. Okay, there are different states. Okay, step one, step two, step three, like that. Okay, that BGP has to undergo. Okay, so that they can form the full-fledged established mode. That means to neighborship. Like OSPF, how we have different states. Similarly, something for BGP as well. Okay, it is idle, connect, active, open sent, open confirm, and established. Okay, what are these states? Okay, there is nothing big challenge about these states. It is simple to understand, so don't be freaky about what are these states. Okay, we'll be make it simple to understand these things. Okay, so let's start with the idle state. Okay, in idle state, it is the first state that BGP starts with. Okay, it try to initiate a a TCP connection to the peer. Okay, what does it mean? Okay, so it is router 1 and this is 2. Okay, and we got a connection like this, and let me just make it as router 1 and router 2. Okay, and this is in AS 100, right, and this is in AS 200. That means we are trying to build a eBGP neighborship between these two routers. Okay, so we have seen we know when we are trying to a neighborship with router 2 from router 1, we should manually define who is our neighbor and where the neighbor is located at. That means like which AS our neighbor is belongs to, right? So here let me just take something like 10 network, okay, as my subnet. Here it is dot 1, here it is dot 2. So here in AS100, I have to say that router BGP, you are 100, okay, and neighbor, and my neighbor is 10.0.0.0.2, and remote AS is 200, right? When I say that, okay, here this command, okay, enables the protocol of AS100 in router 1, and also this statement enables that router 1 should store a neighborship with this peer ID, right? This peer belongs to AS200. Once this is done, okay, router 1 will be under idle state. Okay, idle state. That means he's trying to form a connection, okay, trying to initiate a TCP session with R2. So TCP, right? TCP, Transmission Control Protocol. Hope we are aware it is a transport layer protocol. Each routing protocol will be having their own transport layer protocol. Here, BGP uses the TCP itself as a transport layer protocol on port number 179. So BGP works on 179 TCP protocol. Okay, this you have to keep in your memory. So here the first is router 1 will be trying to establish a TCP connection with R2. So what is the TCP connection? That is nothing about a three-way handshake. Okay, so we will be aware of this three-way handshake. Okay, we will be sending a sync and we will be expecting sync ACK, and then again we will be sending a acknowledgement for that syn message, which is synchronization, and then we'll be receiving in plus acknowledgement, right? And again we will be sending acknowledgement for what we have the sync, okay, between sender and receiver, right? Okay, so this three-way handshake should happen successfully before moving to the next state. Okay, so that is the ideal state does. Okay, so here that is what the PPT says here. Okay, and also there is some connect retry timer which is set to 60 seconds. This we'll be talking about more in the next states. So hope you are with the ideal state. Just it will try to initiate a TCP connection with the mentioned peer. Okay, so just remember, I haven't done any configuration in router 2 yet. Once we done, so uh, going forward, we'll be seeing how the next states will be processing. Okay, so the next state here is connect. Okay, okay, that means we have initiated a TCP connection. Okay, you can see here, if a three-way TCP handshake is completed, right? So we are done with that session. So TCP session is successful. For some reason, if the TCP handshake is getting failed, okay, then this connect retry timer, what I have told you that 60 seconds will be reseated. Okay, so that it will be going back to the idle state. Here, okay, what happens? Let's say that it is an idle state. Okay, and what I'm going to do, uh, because now my TCP handshake will be failing because I haven't done any configuration in the R2, right? So let me go here and do the necessary configuration. Here it is router BGP. Here the AS is 200, which router 2 belongs to, and here the neighbor, and my neighbor IP is 10.0.0.0.1, and the remote AS is 100, right? Awesome. So here my neighbor IP I have to define, which is 10.0.0.1, and also I have to define where my neighbor belongs to, which AS, which is 100. So once I done, even this router, okay, will be in the idle state, and he will try to initiate a TCP connection with R1, so that now the configuration is done, so that our we know who is our neighbor, so that we can start initiating a TCP sessions. Okay, let's say now R1 and R2 are done with the TCP three-way handshake successfully. Okay, so that now they will be uh, moving from idle, then from connect. After that, now they will be moving to something called a open state message. Okay, because once the TCP is completed, during TCP handshake, we will be seeing here the status connect. Okay, once it is successful, from connect we will be moving to something called open send. Okay, this open send is something like, okay, our TCP session is successful. Now, okay, I would like to confirm few things before we are going to establish our uh, neighborship, isn't it? That means, let me just clear this a bit. Okay, okay, we are good here. Okay, So now in open send, I would like to confirm few things. Okay, like what is my AS number and what is the neighbor ID that I am looking for. So am I receiving the messages from the proper neighbor source IP? And is there any password has been configured? If the password is configured, whether the password is matching with my configuration, and what is the AS number? Is this coming? Is the neighbor is coming from AS number 200? So, and what is the router ID? If the router ID is unique, then it is fine. If it is not unique, if it is not unique, then that should be teared down. Okay. So like that, few parameters will be checked in open sent message. Let's see here. This active state will come back to the state later. Let's go to the open sent. Okay, this open sent message will be sent from router 1 to router 2, or either router 2 to router 1. Let it be anything, no problem. Okay, just we are considering a originating router, right? Okay, so what happens is these are the things will be included as a components of this message, and this has to match like how we have discussed, like password, BGP identifier, AS number, source IP, BGP version. If any of this parameter is not matched, then from open sent we will be moving back to the idle state. So the process will start initiate from the beginning. Okay, so once the open sent is done, okay, let me move back to the pane. So once the open sent is sent from R1 to R2, R2 has to send the acknowledgement back, okay, stating its information, everything is good, or how it is. Okay, once we have received the confirmation, then from open sent the state will be moving to something called open confirm. Okay, so this is open confirm. In this state, either we will be receiving keep alive or notification messages. So what is keep alive and what is notification? Okay, in this case, we have sent our open sent message with our AS number, our source IP, and our password, TTL parameters, everything, right? So if it is okay with R2, R2 will be successfully establishing our neighborship relationship, okay, by informing keep alive messages, so that we are good. Hereafter we will be just sending the hello packets, not all these not all this process from the beginning. Okay, only will be hereafter we are going to just exchange the keep alives. Okay, if something is bad with these parameters, let's say this AS number is configured mismatch, or the neighbor is not proper, it is not coming from the correct ID, or something like that, or the password mismatch has happened. Okay, then instead of keep alive, we will be receiving something called notification, stating that it is not good for me, so we cannot initiate a neighborship. Okay, so this is what with the open confirm. Okay, once everything is good, that we have received the keep alive messages, then BGP will be going into established mode. Here we will be two things, as update and keep alive messages are received. Okay, whenever we are receiving an update or keep alive messages from our peer, every time our whole timer will be reseating to its original. Let's say that hello timer is by default 60 seconds. Okay, in BGP, and whole timer or dead timer both are same, by default 180. What does it mean? Within every 60 seconds I have to send hello to my peer, right? So what does this whole timer mean? Okay, to the max 180 seconds, I have within 180 seconds I have to receive a hello from my neighbor. Okay, So this is what, if I'm not receiving hello from my neighbor within 180 seconds, then I'm going to kill my neighborship with R2, and whatever the routes or the prefixes I have learned through R2, that I will be removing from my routing table. Okay, that is what the hold timer meaning is. Okay, hope the hello timer and hold timer it is clear for you guys. So that is what happened in established state. Okay, once we are in established state, okay, every time we receive either hello or update message from R2, R1 will be keep on resetting the whole timer. Why it is resetting the whole timer? Let's say that our whole timer is in the beginning 179, okay, and it will be keep on decrementing 198, 178, and then 177, then 176, then 175. Okay, we have at most crossed like 169, at most we have crossed 10 second. Okay, within 60, okay, within 60 seconds we have to send the hello, right? And we have to expect to receive the hello from our neighbor within 180 seconds. Okay, at some point we have received the hello from R2, let's say that around 143 or somewhere else in the whole timer we have received the hello, so that this will not decrement it further, it will go back to the original state of 180, and from 180 again it will start counting down to till 0. Okay, when it come to 0, our whole timer expires and our neighborship will be tear down, and so that this R2 is no more neighborship with R1, and whatever the prefixes has been learned through R2 will be deleted from the R1 routing table. So I hope it is clear for you guys, and I'll be explaining these things practically with our upcoming videos. Hope you have enjoyed this video. Thank you guys. See you then. Bye. Stay safe.